The teasers dropped, the fandom went silent. In an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down. Ishige's final sentence, the shocking truth HYBE tried to hide. Welcome to StarScope K-Report.
Join Eric and Minji as they ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
So for today's deep dive, we're pulling from this massive stack of reports. We've got the Korea Herald, the Korea Times, Mint, and the Korea Jungang Daily. And our mission today is really to just cut through the noise and unpack a scandal that didn't just shake the biggest fandom on earth, it kind of completely fractured it.
Yeah, it really did.
We're looking at the timeline, the legal loopholes, and just the unprecedented global fallout of BTS member Suga's DUI incident.
Right, because when we talk about BTS, we aren't just talking about a music group. I mean, we are talking about a global cultural pillar. The pressure on these artists is honestly incomprehensible. And to understand the gravity of this, we really have to look at the mechanics of what happens when that pillar shakes.
Exactly. So let's just start with the hard facts here. August 6th, 2024, it's about 11:15 p.m. in the Hanam-dong neighborhood of Yongsan District in Seoul. Yoon-gi, who is globally known as Suga, 31 years old, he's returning home. He takes this sharp turn on an electric scooter and he falls over right in front of his residence.
Which is wild because he was mere steps from his own front gate, you know?
Yeah, literally right there. And a police officer who's patrolling the area sees him fall, comes over to assist, and immediately detects the smell of alcohol. So they administer a breathalyzer test right on the spot. And here is where the chart statistics and the legal reality just hit really hard.
Yeah, this is the part that was just everywhere.
Right. So according to the police reports cited by the Korea Jungang Daily, Suga's blood alcohol concentration, his BAC, was 0.227%. And just to put that into perspective, the legal threshold for having your driver's license revoked in South Korea is 0.08%. So he was nearly 3 times over the limit for license revocation.
I mean, hearing those numbers it hit the fandom like a shockwave. You really have to understand the sheer panic that rips through a fandom when news like this breaks.
I can imagine, yeah.
For stans, having your bias caught in a scandal, it feels like the ground is dropping out from under you. And the immediate fear isn't just about the legal consequences, it's the dread of the hiatus.
Right, the timeline.
Exactly. BTS had been on this carefully orchestrated pause while they complete their military service, right, with this massive golden promise of a full group comeback in 2025. Suddenly, millions of fans are staring down the barrel of a potential hiatus extending, indefinitely.
Yeah, the uncertainty is huge. And let's look at the initial crisis management, because this is where the whole shocking truth element comes into play. Big Hit Music, which is the agency under HYBE, they issue their very first statement. And they deliberately categorize the vehicle he was riding as an electric kick scooter or a kickboard.
And that specific phrasing just ignited a massive firestorm online.
It really did. Because under the South Korean Road Traffic Act, the terminology changes everything. A few years ago, Seoul had this absolute explosion of micromobility devices. Electric scooters were everywhere. Accidents skyrocketed.
Yeah, we had to do something about it.
Yeah, the government had to crack down hard with new legislation. So the law now clearly states that if a vehicle weighs under 30 kilograms and has a maximum speed of under 25 kilometers per hour, it is classified as a personal mobility device, or a PM.
Okay, a PM.
Right. And if you drive a PM under the influence, you face an administrative penalty. So your license gets revoked, you pay a fine, but it ends there.
Right, it's just administrative.
Exactly. However, if the vehicle exceeds those limits, it is classified as a motorized bicycle. And driving a motorized bicycle under the influence is a criminal offense. It's subject to criminal punishment and a full police investigation. The vehicle Suga was riding was the latter. It was a motorized scooter with a saddle seat, far exceeding the limits of a simple kickboard.
Wait, so let me challenge you on that initial statement from Big Hit Music then. I mean, was calling it a kickboard just a genuine corporate misunderstanding in the chaos of a midnight crisis? Or was this a calculated PR shield meant to soften the blow for netizens, like trying to put a Band-Aid on a broken leg?
Well, I mean, if it was a PR shield, it operated like trying to put out a grease fire with a glass of water. The attempt to fix it is actually what caused the explosion. K-netz are incredibly savvy. They know these traffic laws inside and out because they live in a city that's heavily regulated by them. So they immediately saw the discrepancy when the CCTV footage started leaking online.
Oh, the footage.
Yeah, the footage clearly showed a heavier-seated scooter. It wasn't a kickboard.
And when HYBE had to come out and issue a second apology, like explicitly backtracking on their kickboard claim and admitting they didn't realize the vehicle categorization would lead to criminal charges, the trust just shattered.
Absolutely.
Netizens felt the agency was actively trying to manipulate the narrative and downplay the severity of a crime. I mean, in K-pop, authenticity and transparency are the currency you trade in. And All Kill on the charts isn't just hitting #1.
Right. It's much more than that.
Yeah, it's sweeping every single major domestic chart simultaneously. You cannot achieve an All Kill with just a hardcore fandom. You need the general public. And the general public's favor is incredibly fragile. Once you lose that trust, the backlash is just tenfold.
Yeah, it's a completely different ballgame. And that's not even the wildest part of this controversy. Just wait until you hear how the South Korean military got involved.
Oh, man. The military aspect adds an entirely new layer of structural complexity to all of this.
It really does, because at the time of the incident, Suga was actively serving in the military. He enlisted back in September 2023, but he is serving as a social service agent.
Right, which is different from active duty.
Yeah, for context, this is an alternative form of mandatory military service in South Korea, and it's usually assigned for medical or physical reasons. It operates essentially like a regular daily civilian job. You commute to a government or welfare facility, and you return home after your shift.
And forums were flooded with questions about whether he would face a military court or extended service time.
Exactly, but the Military Manpower Association, the MMA, they stepped in and provided official confirmation. They stated clearly they would not pursue any extra military disciplinary measures or extensions to his service.
Wow, really?
Yeah, the mechanism here is purely jurisdictional. Because the drunk driving incident occurred entirely off-duty, outside of his official working hours and off military property, the military just hands the jurisdiction entirely over to the civilian justice system. There is no double jeopardy where the military punishes him for a civilian crime committed off the clock.
I see. So the civilian court just takes the reins completely.
They do, and the legal conclusion came down from the Seoul Western District Court. Judge Lee Yoo-seop issued what is called a summary order. He summarily indicted Suga and issued a fine of 15 million Korean won, which is roughly 11,468 US dollars.
Okay, so a fine.
Right. And under South Korean law, a summary order is a mechanism used for specific offenses where the prosecution believes a fine is the appropriate punishment rather than imprisonment. It basically allows the judge to impose the penalty through an expedited process just by reviewing the documents. It completely bypasses a full, lengthy public trial. And Suga then had a 7-day window to reject the fine and request a formal trial if he wanted to contest the charges.
Fighting it would mean dragging the scandal out for months, just forcing the group's name into daily headlines. But even avoiding a formal trial didn't shield him from the public punishment.
No, it definitely didn't.
We really have to dive into the mechanics of the photoling culture in South Korea. 17 days after the incident on August 23rd, Suga had to appear at the Yongsan police station.
Right.
And the photoline is not just a bunch of paparazzi. It is a highly ritualized, heavily coordinated media gauntlet that dates back decades.
Mm-hmm.
You are literally required to stand on a specific piece of tape on the ground in front of a wall of flashing cameras and reporters.
Wow.
And you must bow deeply and publicly apologize before you're allowed to even go inside. It functions as a modern-day pillory. It's designed by the media to be a form of societal correction through public shaming. And he underwent 3 hours of police interrogation that day.
3 hours. And then came the written apologies.
Yes. He posted a deeply emotional handwritten apology on the fan community app Weverse. And the language he used, it really reveals the crushing weight of the Hallyu wave. He wrote, quote, "Everything is my fault. I have put a major scratch in the precious memories that the members and fans have made together, and also damaged the name of BTS."
That's intense.
It is. He talked about his deep reflection, the agony of harming his team, and apologizing to the members who had to carry a heavy heart. And in his first message post-discharge in June 2025, he echoed that exact same penitence.
So here's an analytical question for you. With a 15 million KRW fine issued via a summary order, which completely avoids the spectacle of a full public trial, does this closure actually satisfy the public? Or does a behind-closed-doors fine leave a wound open for a society that demands intense moral accountability?
That is the big question. Legally, the case is closed. Culturally, it's a massive lingering question mark. When you are at the apex of global entertainment, you carry the weight of an entire industry's reputation. The summary order satisfies the legal system, sure, but in the court of domestic public opinion, an idol's debt is rarely settled just by paying a fine.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And hey, if you love staying updated on your favorites, make sure you're subscribed to StarScope K Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead.
Oh, for sure, because the story definitely doesn't end at the police station.
No, it doesn't. Later in this deep dive, we're going to talk about the shocking plot twist in this drama that nobody saw coming, a massive civil war that literally tore the global fandom in two. We are looking at the global fandom civil war, K-netz versus HYBE.
And this requires us to look really deeply at the sociology of the Hallyu wave.
Definitely. And as we unpack this, it is crucial that we look at both sides impartially. We are just reporting the cultural divide as it's presented in our sources, the Korea Times and the Korea Herald, without taking sides. So let's start with the domestic reaction from K-netz.
It was intense.
It was visceral and highly, highly organized. Fans actually crowdfunded and sent physical protest wreaths to the agency's headquarters in Seoul, demanding that Suga leave the group.
Yeah, the visual of those wreaths lined up was just staggering.
In South Korea, domestic views treat DUI with immense severity. It's often viewed through the lens of potential attempted murder, largely because of the dense population and the sheer potential for loss of innocent life. The public tolerance for drunk driving, especially from public figures, is essentially zero.
Right, and then you look at the international reaction, and the contrast is staggering. A massive coalition of 127 BTS fan organizations representing 58 different countries issued a joint, highly coordinated statement.
Wow, 58 countries.
Yeah, and they threw their unwavering support behind all 7 members and vehemently opposed any demands for Suga's removal.
Yeah.
They stated explicitly that they do not expect the members to take more responsibility than they are legally required to by the state.
So we essentially have the exact same event being processed through 2 entirely different cultural hard drives.
Exactly. And the Korea Times synthesized this beautifully by speaking to sociologists who study this exact phenomenon. They quoted Professor Siderbauti Seiji, who focuses on Korean studies. And she pointed out that in Korea, the very word idol is literal. It means perfection.
Right.
You aren't just a singer who dances well. You are a flawless role model on and off the stage. The media and society use idols as moral compasses for the youth. When an idol slips, the societal reaction is to make a severe example of them to maintain social order.
That makes sense in that cultural context. And the Times also spoke to Professor Grace Kao from Yale University. She explained that American and international fans approach these scandals through a completely different lens. Western celebrity culture heavily emphasizes mental health, the journey of redemption, and seeking treatment.
Yeah, totally different priorities.
Right. So for HYBE, the crime was a terrible lapse in judgment, yes. But crucially, it was a mistake where no one else was physically hurt. Therefore, they view the relentless media hounding, the photo lines, the constant articles, as a far greater threat to the artist's well-being than the original crime itself.
I mean, just think about the worst mistake you ever made in your 20s or 30s. Now imagine making that mistake, and the next morning, 50 million people across dozens of time zones are actively debating whether you deserve to keep your career, your friendships, and your legacy.
It's terrifying.
That is the reality of the K-pop moral exam.
And that fear of media hounding isn't just theoretical paranoia from international fans. The sources bring up the chilling context of actor Lee Sun-kyun. He tragically passed away following an incredibly intense, relentless media circus surrounding a police investigation. International fans pointed directly to that tragedy, terrified that the aggressive daily coverage of Suga could lead to a similarly dark outcome.
Yeah, that was a huge talking point online.
But we also have to look at the boundaries of international fans. Look at how SM Entertainment handled NCT's Tail. He was immediately removed from his group following allegations of severe sexual misconduct, and international fans largely supported that removal.
Right, which proves that international fans do have a strict line they will not cross, but the threshold for cancellation is just vastly different from domestic fans.
It seems like we have 2 entirely different rule books being read at the exact same time. If domestic fans are grading idols on a strict pass or fail moral exam, where one major strike on a societal issue like a DUI means you are out, and international fans are grading them on a growth and redemption turf, where nonviolent mistakes are viewed as part of the human experience. How does a global agency like HYBE decide which rubric to follow when they are selling to both markets?
It is an impossible business mechanism. It really is. I mean, HYBE is headquartered in Seoul, operating under Korean cultural norms, Korean laws, and Korean media pressure. But their revenue, their chart dominance, their sheer global power comes from the international market.
Right, they need both.
The clash of cultures we are seeing here is the ultimate side effect of the Hallyu wave going global. When you export your culture to 58 different countries, you are also importing 58 different sets of moral expectations.
Okay.
The agency is caught in a vice grip.
A complete lose-lose situation.
If they cater to the domestic demand and remove a member, they risk a global boycott and the destruction of their biggest financial asset. But if they ignore the domestic anger, they are accused of abandoning Korean values, disrespecting the law, and enabling criminal behavior in their own backyard. They chose to keep the group together, leaning on the legal finality of the summary order fine, but that choice required navigating an incredibly volatile cultural minefield.
And hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update as the story continues to unfold. Because the aftershocks of this legal and cultural battle are going to be felt for years, dictating exactly how agencies handle scandals moving forward.
This entire saga really proves that K-pop is no longer just a Korean export, it is a global cultural battleground. It forces us to ask, as the Hallyu wave continues to dominate the world, will the crushing weight of idol perfection evolve to embrace human flaws? Or is the pressure simply too heavy for any single artist to survive?
You've been listening to StarScope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.